another edition of From the Pressbox with Wade Neely. Wade Neely here, sports editor at the Pulaski Citizen. So good to be with you guys. It is episode number 5. Kind of hard to believe, but we are rocking, we are rolling, and we're already 5 episodes deep into From the Pressbox. September 14th edition of the program. Going to be a great show today, and we've got a lot of focus, for good reason, on our friends up in Linville as we made the trip up Columbia Highway there to visit with the Raiders. On this show today, you're going to hear from Richland head coach Nick Patterson as the Richland football team sits at 2-2. We'll talk about last week's game. We'll talk about a mammoth showdown coming up this Friday versus Cornersville. That was a fun segment. Also going to speak to Leslie Miller, who's the new head coach of the Richland soccer program. Depending on when you watch this show, the game already could have been played, but on Thursday afternoon, they also have a big district game versus Cornersville. So Cornersville and Richland is kind of the theme of this show today, and for good reason, as that is always a fun rivalry matchup. Let's just dive right in, folks. Kind of the week that was for our teams here on the gridiron in Giles County. We begin over in Lawrence County, a game that Chris Bledsoe and I brought to you guys on Pulaski Citizen Live. 42-7, the Bobcats make a statement and bring the cowbell back to Pulaski in emphatic fashion. They were up 35-7 at halftime. Second half was a complete running clock situation, but Giles County wins it going away 42-7. Kamari Turner played quarterback for much of the ball game for Giles County, at least in the first half when it was still somewhat in doubt. Turner starts the game at QB and just ran wild, had over 200 rushing yards on the ground, and then had a couple of rushing touchdowns. Also threw for a nice touchdown as he linked up with Exorion Randolph. Giles County takes care of business. Johnny Jackson did play in the second half. He played a little bit in the first half, but Jackson kind of dinged up coming into the contest, but then also the flow and the scheme was just working so well that you might as well have rode the hot hand with Turner, and that's what Bobcats head coach David O'Connor told us post-game, said the kid was just running wild, so we kept him in there, and it led to that 42-7 win for Giles County. Good to get the cowbell game back. Giles County's now off this week. That's why all eyes are on Linville on Friday night. More on that a little bit later, but the Bobcats are off, and then they play their final non-region game next Friday versus Lincoln County on the 22nd. So the Elk River rivalry will be back at the Brickyard next Friday on the 22nd. Speaking of Richland, we've talked a lot about the Raiders already on this program, and wow, another tough defeat for Richland. Their second loss of the season at the death, this time coming in double overtime, 29-28. Crazy game. I caught the end of it on Pulaski Citizen Live. Jennifer Hawkins and Mark Mize had our call that night, and listening to it, Richland rallies from 14 points down to force overtime, and then in overtime, Fairview strikes first, but Richland quickly answers Luke Eastlick with a touchdown, and then Richland goes for 2. Richland goes for the win, and at least for a moment looked like they had the win, as Jaden Pryor looked like he had hauled in a catch, but a procedure penalty wiped that off the board. Richland kicks the PAT at that point, and then we go to double overtime. In double OT, Richland scores as well to start things off, and Fairview quickly responds. They do go for 2, and they do get the 2-point conversion. Tough break there for the Raiders. 3 of their last 5 games have been losses that have come via a 2-point conversion at the very end. You go back to Adamsville at the end of the playoffs in last season, and then the Lincoln County game, and now the Fairview game. But more on Richland and the football program as they get set for their big game versus Cornersville. We'll speak to head coach Patterson coming up in just a matter of moments. Ardmore, they also were on the hunt for a 2-point conversion. They fell behind by 14 points going into the fourth quarter, made a little bit of a rally, and sitting there at 21-19, Ardmore looking for that 2-point conversion to tie it up late in the game. Couldn't come up with it, so it's a tough 21-19 loss to Brewer. Ardmore is now 0-3, and they have to hit the road this week for a region showdown over at Lawrence County. Going to take on the Red Devils there. Cruising right along. Other news and notes, I want to give a shout out to the UT Southern women's soccer program. Head coach Will Austin, assistant coach Zach Crownover. Those guys have got the ladies playing hard. They went 1-1. They split a series this weekend, a very big-time neutral site kind of bash down in Foley, Alabama, as you had 4 or 5 ranked teams all getting together, and UT Southern last Friday picks up a nice 3-1 win versus Southeastern, a team that's always in the hunt for the national title at the NAIA level. Got that win on Friday, kind of playing with house money a little bit. Obviously, you want to win every game, but it was great to get that first win out of the way, because then on Sunday, they could not follow up what they did on Friday, and they suffered a 4-0 loss to Kaiser out of Florida as well. So Kaiser always a national powerhouse as well. So not a bad weekend necessarily for the Firehawks. Like I said, played pretty well, especially in the win on Friday. Maybe we're hoping to keep the game a little closer on Sunday. But if you went into that trip saying you're going to split, you're playing 2 top 15 opponents, I think everybody is going to come out of that feeling okay. They get ready to jump into conference play this weekend. They take on Blue Mountain College. Those games will be played down in Mississippi. First new games in the Southern States Athletic Conference for the Firehawks this weekend. Kind of rolling it quickly into college football. The Vols did not look very good, 30-13 versus Austin Peay. I caught most of the second half, and it was not great. Definitely not what the Volunteer faithful were hoping for after such an impressive win versus Virginia in their season opener. But they've got to right the ship, and they've got to right it in a hurry, because the Florida Gators, as lifeless as they look, kind of looked okay on Saturday, but they kind of appear to be picking up just a bit of steam. And Tennessee still has not won in the Swamp since 2003. They're going to need a lot better showing. I think they're certainly capable of doing that. Would expect them to do that, but they're going to have to clean some things up if they want to get a win in that rivalry game on Saturday. MTSU, my beloved Blue Raiders, man, they fought so hard this weekend. Kept tabs on them. Didn't get to watch much of the game, but was kind of keeping up with the score. And they eventually fall to Missouri 23-19. They got a late safety that kind of got them back in the game, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. But just unfortunately unable to pull it off. The good news for MTSU is they got 2 really nice paychecks from Alabama and Missouri, and they had a chance to win the game versus Missouri. So gearing up for the Blue Raiders. I'll be at homecoming in just a couple of weeks. They got Colorado State coming in for homecoming. Colorado State, not the greatest program. They're one of the weaker teams in terms of the major Division I programs right now, having a down stretch. But a big name in terms of a homecoming get for MTSU, so that game will be fun. I'll be there in a couple weeks for that. The Titans, they did not look in sync offensively whatsoever, which is really a shame because the defense played pretty well on Sunday. And there were a couple calls that went against the Titans. Maybe could have got some points on the board. Probably did have some points taken off the board as a result of an inadvertent whistle there, and eventually some turnovers that were not ruled turnovers. So tough break for the Titans. And like I said, very disappointing offensive effort, but especially considering how well the defense played. 16-15, they fall to New Orleans. I'll be in the house Sunday in the press box when the Titans welcome the Chargers for their home opener. Here we go, folks. Final bit of business in this opening segment, Tale of the Tape. Let's dive into our Fearless Forecasters here at the Pulaski Citizen. If you're not playing Fearless Forecasters, what are you really even doing with your life right now? Make sure you grab a copy of our paper each week. Make sure you fill this out. You got a chance to win a great prize every week, and if you go undefeated, you got a chance to win some cold, hard cash. Tale of the Tape. Brutal all the way around for me. No other way to say it. 9-7, one of my worst showings that I can recall in a while. I picked the Titans. We saw how that panned out. But even worse, I picked the Giants, who got throttled on Sunday Night Football by the Dallas Cowboys. So not a good look for me. Your standings, Kerry Jane Malone and Daniel Haney sit in first place. They're tied for first place at the moment. Mark Mize and myself sit there tied for second. Last week's winner, though, our good buddy, Mr. David Hopper. Hop at the Park and Recs department here in Pulaski. He missed 4 games, but he wins on the first tiebreaker. He got that sweet Dr. Pepper cooler and Bluetooth speaker that I was telling you guys about last week. And so congrats to our good buddy, the legendary Mr. David Hopper. No one went undefeated, having said that. And so our jackpot, we just throw another 100 in the jackpot. It's up to $300 now. So if you go undefeated this week, 300 smackers coming right to you. And this week's prize is an American Silver Eagle dollar donated by the fine folks at First National Bank. So if you think about it, even if you don't win the jackpot, you're still winning money in a sense. At least that's the way I'm going to look at it. So great prize this week. Thank you to everybody that's played thus far. And again, you can pick up a copy on newsstands and make sure you drop that off here at Citizen Headquarters. Speaking of Citizen Headquarters, let's get out of here, folks. I'm ready to hit the road. Filming this on Wednesday, heading up to interview Richland Raiders head coach Nick Patterson, football head coach for the Raiders. Big showdown versus Cornersville at home Friday. And then going to talk to Leslie Miller, the soccer coach for the Lady Raiders. So sit tight, folks. We're going to take our first time out. When we come back, we will speak to head coach Nick Patterson, and we will be back after this with more from the Press Box.
If you're looking for a new job, let M&M Staffing be your guide. With over 20 years of experience, we know how to connect great people with great opportunities. We work with over 80 companies, so we're sure to find the perfect job for you. Our team is dedicated to helping you succeed, and our high customer satisfaction rate proves it. Ready to get started? Visit us at mnmstaffing.net or give us a call today at 931-347-4255.
Welcome back. Another segment here on From the Press Box. We're on the campus of Richland High School. Always good to catch up with my man, head coach Nick Patterson. Coach, welcome in. How you doing? Good to be back with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming again, man. It's that time of year and crazy, but glad to have you for a few minutes in today. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are stoked to be here, and there was no way, really, we were not going to come up and chat with you this week because two reasons. Number one, through 4 games, the Raiders are 2-2, but the 2 losses have come at the very last second of the game via 2-point conversion. We'll talk about Fairview in just a moment. But we definitely weren't going to miss Cornersville week. You guys got a massive showdown Friday night here at Wayne Hobbs Stadium.
We do, if there's one thing, in my 5.5, 6 years of being here that I've come to understand, and that is that the Battle of Beaufort Station is a big deal to this community and to these 2 teams. And so, what is football without a great rivalry? And we got that this week, so we're excited about it.
It is going to be a fun showdown. Real quickly, though, let's walk back to last Friday night. I caught the end of it. Jennifer and Mark had the broadcast, and my heart goes out to you guys because another 2-point conversion decides a game. Your 2 losses have been by 1 point and via the 2-point conversion. And just kind of walk us through as the Raiders made a good comeback in the fourth quarter to get into overtime, and then you guys eventually fall in double OT.
Well, we did. I mean, they fought their tails off. We didn't really get a lot going offensively in the first half, and finally started putting it together, and were able to come back and take it into overtime. First overtime series, we run a 2-point conversion ourselves and complete it, and what should have been the game winner, but didn't have enough guys on the line, according to the refs. So, we had to keep playing. We ended up kicking a field goal or an extra point. They backed us up. We kicked the extra point. We go to double overtime. We score first, kick the extra point. Battle, hold them out a little bit, and then they finally get in, and then they go for 2 themselves, and just, called it on a lucky, on a K. It was a heck of a game. It was a good game.
Yeah, and heck of a game. We enjoyed listening to it. We hate it didn't go Richland's way, but I guess the big question is, what do you guys take out of that, knowing you went up in classification a couple ranks, and you went toe-to-toe with a team traditionally that's usually pretty solid in Fairview?
Well, they are, and they're probably going to finish 1 or 2 in their region this year in 3A ball. So that's a 3A team that we lost to in double overtime, and then of course Lincoln County earlier in the year is a 5A school that we lost by 1 as well. So, just understanding that we can go toe-to-toe and play with whoever, I think it helps us down the road. Being able to play in close games now, early on, I think helps us down the road, whereas teams might play a little bit of a lighter schedule or not be put in that situation. I mean, football's such a situational game, and, we know how to handle ourselves now better, in an overtime period, in a sudden death type deal, in a 2-minute type period. So we've gotten to see all those situations. We've gotten to see some real big lines and real big backs, and we felt like we matched them, from a physicality standpoint, and so that's going to help us, when we hit this region stretch that we're about to, and then hopefully in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, if nothing else, you guys are extremely battle-tested, not just taking on higher classification teams, but taking on teams right down to the wire. And like you said, when you get into playoffs, you're looking at close games, one-possession games, late plays to decide it. that's got to be a confidence boost for you guys already having those under your belt.
Well, I think it is, and just starting this year, we got a few experienced guys back, but we got a whole lot of new guys that are just new to getting out there and playing it, whether they be seniors or whatnot. We're pretty young as a team, so just getting that experience and getting that confidence and understanding that we can go line up and play with those guys is big.
For sure. All right, so we've got the Fairview game in our rearview mirror now. All roads point to Linville on Friday, and a massive showdown versus Cornersville. We looked it up last night. Not even 15 miles separates you guys, and there's only one road unless you want to take the real long way to get there, and that is Buford Station.
Yes,
it's the
sir.
Battle of Buford Station, Cornersville and Richland. And then when the stakes couldn't get any higher, you throw in the fact that it's a region game on Friday night.
Region game, Gold Out game, Battle of Buford Station. Yeah, we're back in the region with them. So the last couple of years, it's still been big, but it hadn't been as big because it hadn't been a region game. But that certainly puts the stakes a lot higher. Getting 2-0 in the region is our ultimate goal this week. That's going to set us up, in pretty good shape as far as the playoffs go. So, that's our big deal. But anytime you get to line up and play those guys, it's a big deal. And when I first got here, they were on a good run, and it was a little lopsided, but we've kind of closed the gap, and then last year we turned the tides, and hopefully we'll continue that this year.
Yeah, big win last year on a Thursday night to open the season. That was a fun game to be at. This Friday's going to be fun. As exciting as the game is going to be, though, I think a lot of viewers are going to be excited to hear about the Gold Out game. This is a fun tradition that has kind of cropped up in the last 6 or 7 years with the Raider program. What can you tell us about your efforts to support childhood cancer, and how fun of an event is this going to be on Friday night?
Well, Junior Caitlin Bass has put it together. Her brother, J.C. Bass, he's our ball boy, been our ball boy since I got here. He's now a junior high football player for us as well, but you can see him every Friday night on the sidelines with us. But he battled when he was younger and doing well with it, but she put it together and has put it together every year and done a phenomenal job. She's probably going to be CEO of a big-time company when she gets older. She's just a real good planner and organizer, and got everything together. And again, this year done the same thing. We expect a helicopter to fly in. Vanderbilt Life Flight helicopter is going to fly in and drop the game ball, and the selling the shirts and raising the money. I think we've got to be up towards about $10,000 that we've raised for childhood cancer over the last several years. So, I just kind of sit back and let her do her thing, and try to be supportive and do what she needs me to do. But she's put it all together, so my hat's off to her.
Yeah, that is fantastic to hear that you have one of your very own kind of taking ownership of such a huge thing. Any chance that Principal Blair is going to be in the helicopter?
That'd be good to see.
Maybe
I'll
even
throw
fly
that
the
out
ball
there.
down. We'll see if we
let
can
him rappel down.
Yeah, we can see if we can make something happen. That is going to be an exciting part of Friday's game. Real quickly, I guess, X's and O's. We know that Cornersville's got a big bruising back, just like you guys have faced seemingly every week. But what makes Ben Franklin, that is his name, what makes Ben Franklin so special in the backfield for the Bulldogs?
Just he's got it all. He's fast, he's big, he's strong. I've gotten to meet him a few times. He's a great young man. So just really a complete package. If he's committed to one of the Air Force academies, I think that's a big deal. I think that says a lot about his character and stuff. So, he's going to be tough to stop. I think the hardest thing for him was getting acclimated to the weather, and now that it's cooling off, I think we're going to see 100% of him. So, we got to be ready to game tackle him. I think it benefits us that we have seen bigger backs almost every week. So, we're somewhat used to it, but we got to do a good job corralling him and kind of keeping him, contained. And he plays both ways, and he's every bit as good as defense. I think he's actually committed as a defensive player. So, we got to know where he is from a defensive standpoint too. When he's lined up and rushing the passer or whatever he's doing, and make sure we handle our assignments that way too.
Absolutely, and we'll get you out of here. We've talked a lot about Cornersville's offense, but Richland's offense kind of still trying to find its way a little bit. The points kind of seem like, especially last week, kind of creeping up, especially in the second half. What are some things offensively you guys are going to maybe try and target with Cornersville? We know they got a great defense as well.
Well, for us, it's and it's kind of coach's cliche, but it's really more about us than anybody. We just got to execute. I think we had about 47 to 55 plays the other night, and probably only a handful of them where we had 11 guys doing their job. And offensive football is such that you've got to have guys that are all executing, their job every single play, and for that play to be successful. I mean, if you got 10 guys doing their job, but one slacks off or one misses a block, I mean, that could derail the whole play. So we got to do a better job of executing on the whole, and we've spent a lot of time on that this week and trying to clean things up, and hopefully that's what you're going to see Friday.
So Friday night, gold out, region game, Cornersville. It really can't get any bigger than this coming up to the Wayne Hobbs Stadium on Friday night, I feel like.
No, we're expecting a full house. It's been that way every time we've been at home. We're fortunate enough for schedule-wise that we've already played 3, so this is our 4th one. So we'll only have one more home game after this. So just encourage everybody to come out and support us and support these guys and get us to 2-0 in the region.
Coach, we love catching up with you. It's going to be an exciting game on Friday. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Appreciate it, brother.
Nick Patterson, head coach of the Richland Raiders. Again, it is going to be a massive showdown versus Cornersville in the Battle of Buford Station coming your way on Friday. Quick timeout. We'll be back with another segment of From the Press Box right after this.
Southern Tennessee Regional Health System. Pulaski is here to help you be well. Our mission is to make our community healthier, and we're your community hospital. We're committed to providing trusted care when you need it most. From wellness checks to emergencies, we're here for you and your family. Visit us today at southerntennessee.com or call 931-363-7531.
All right, guys, time for another segment here on From the Press Box. We've had a blast on the campus of Richland High School already this afternoon. And there's a big Cornersville-Richland game this week, and it's taking place on Thursday night. It's the Lady Raiders set to host the Lady Bulldogs. Joining us to break things down is head coach Leslie Miller. And, Coach, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you here this afternoon.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
We are so pumped to talk about the Lady Raiders and especially about a big rivalry game versus Cornersville. And we've kind of joked earlier. A lot of the buzz is about the football game on Friday, but you guys have a big game, and it's a district game for you guys when you kick it off Thursday night.
That's right. We're super excited, and we're ready to play.
Let's kind of walk through. This is our first time really getting to chat all season. Richland's kind of had a few solid results, maybe not as many quote-unquote wins as we'd like, but we got a draw versus Loretto. Could have probably won that contest. And then Culleoka, who's kind of turned into this superpower out of nowhere, have hung tough with him. Kind of, I guess, if you would, just break down what you've seen, especially that you like from your team so far.
Our girls have really played well together. We've got a really solid defense line behind 2 seniors, Sarah Woodard and Haley Rosacea, and they just really push forward and help us to get the ball to our forwards where we have those potentials to score. And then we've got a senior, Virginia Witt, who's very versatile as a forward and a midfield, and she does really well at getting the ball over. She's got a really big foot, and I mean, she and Sarah can both score from deep if they get the opportunity. And then we've got Lily Mitchell, who will come in and just fill whatever position we need. I mean, she's very versatile. We put her in the middle. She's all over the field. She goes after the ball. She's a really good fighter, and so with those 4 leading, we've had a really good outcome.
We've enjoyed kind of keeping tabs on you guys from afar, and we're excited to see how we do as we kind of come down. It's hard to believe, but the season is already like halfway over for you guys. How has that process been where you feel like just a few short weeks ago you were getting the ladies together and trying to get this team off and rolling, and now there's just 4 games left?
It's kind of mind-blowing because it feels like it's never going to get started, and then once it gets started, it's over. So we're excited to be meeting up with these district opponents and getting ready for tournaments in October.
And I love what you said about the makeup of your team, especially kind of that you've strong in the defensive presence. You got a couple of nice forwards. I do love the idea of kind of a super sub or a player right there in the middle. It seems like that maybe gives you as a coach a lot of options to how you want to attack a team.
Right.
And then how do you kind of, is that just based on what the opponent is giving you, or do you kind of, some coaches like to have just set tactics going into the match no matter what?
Well, it really depends. We run 2 formations depending on who we're playing, and so it really depends on who we're playing as to what our setup is. Anna Kate Dickey is another strong player up and coming that we've really put in, and she's really given us good results as well.
You guys have Cornersville coming in. We've talked about how it's a district game. We know the school spirit is off the charts this week, but do the ladies have a little extra pep in their step knowing that it's Cornersville as well? Does it kind of bleed over like the football?
I think so, yeah. I think they're ready. There's been a lot of big talk about how they are versus us, because last year it was kind of tense. So we're hoping to get back from that and get a W on Thursday.
It should be great. Well, Coach Miller, thank you so much for your time. It's always fun to talk Lady Raiders soccer. You're making your From the Press Box debut, and I think most would give you an A grade. So you'll be invited back, to say the least. Thank you so much. We will see you soon, and best of luck versus Cornersville.
Thank you.
All right, that is our final segment here on From the Press Box. We will wrap it up after a quick timeout with the big finish.
Southern Tennessee Regional Health System. Pulaski is here to help you be well. Our mission is to make our community healthier, and we're your community hospital. We're committed to providing trusted care when you need it most. From wellness checks to emergencies, we're here for you and your family. Visit us today at southerntennessee.com or call 931-363-7531.
Welcome back, folks. Wade Neely here again on the final segment of From the Press Box. We call it the big finish. Thank you very much to Richland Raiders head coach Nick Patterson. Thank you very much to Richland Lady Raiders head coach Leslie Miller. Two great segments today. It's been a great show. We always love coming up here to Linville. They take great care of us, and we are so excited about the big matches coming up. Again, depending on when you watch this, Richland soccer is set to take on Cornersville on Thursday, and then Richland football is set to take on Cornersville on Friday. But away we go. It is the big finish. Big things that I'm looking forward to this Friday night. As we've mentioned, Giles County is off. They have just 9 games on the schedule, so this is the first of their 2 open dates. So going to enjoy that time away. Will the Bobcats try and rest up, try and get healthy? Again, they play Lincoln County 1 week from Friday night. The Elk River rivalry returns to Sam Davis Park. But all eyes will descend upon Linville Friday night as the Richland Raiders are set to take on Cornersville. I think this is going to be a very, very hard-fought game. 2 tough rivals. Cornersville had a long winning streak, nearly double digits, before Richland snapped it in week 1 last year. They're back at the Wayne Hobbs Memorial Stadium again on Friday night, but it is a region game, so there's going to be high stakes all around. Jennifer Hawkins and Mark Mize will have our coverage on Pulaski Citizen Live, but I will definitely keep my eyes on that contest as the Raiders host the Bulldogs. I actually think the Raiders win a close ball game. Shocker, it's going to be close. Richland has played a lot of close games as of late, and they're going to play another one. I think the rivalry is just going to make it a close contest, but that should be a fun one on Friday. As we mentioned, the Ardmore Tigers, they're on the road, another region game for them. They're still looking for their first win of the season. What a time it'd be if they can go on the road and knock one off at Lawrence County. The Red Devils will be a tough opponent, but best of luck to head coach Jonathan Snyder and the Ardmore Tigers. Quickly into the college ranks, I'm really going to be fixated on that Tennessee game. Again, the 6 p.m. kickoff down in the Swamp. Casey Clausen was the last quarterback to win in the Swamp way back in 2003. Tennessee got the win in Knoxville last year. Didn't look great versus Austin Peay last week. Florida hasn't really looked particularly great in either of their 2 ball games. A little better in week 2. I think Tennessee does win. I do think it's a close game, however, somewhere in the neighborhood of 31-24, something of that nature. The big question will be, can Florida score that many points? I think Tennessee pulls that one out. That leads us right into Sunday. I'll be at Nissan Stadium in the press box on Sunday when the Chargers come to town. It's a noon kickoff. Teams that go east from the West Coast kind of seem to struggle over the years. San Diego's a very, Freudian slip there. Los Angeles is a very dangerous team. We saw their shootout with Miami last week, but I think the Titans right the ship. I think they get back on their winning schedule, and they finally even that mark at 1-1, and they have a nice win in their pocket because, again, the Chargers are a quality team. That will conclude our show today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you've missed part of the show, we are archived on YouTube, and you can check it out on all of our social media channels. But for now, from the campus of Richland High School, Wade Neely saying so long. We'll see you next week on another edition of From the Press Box.